But I just wanted to say that it's a really cool native plant. So I don't want to deter anybody from finding it or using it. But mixed reactions, not everything you read in the book is what you experience in your garden. So I'm just being honest that I have it all over and I haven't seen it used that way. Okay. So when we were doing our tea presentation before, somebody had mentioned that they had a very overabundant passion flower. In the nursery trade, I've seen Passiflora incarnata, which is the Latin name for incense passion flower. It's the purple passion flower that we saw on the host plant slide. The native variety has 3-lobed leaves. As you can see in this picture, this one has 5-lobed leaves. It's basically a cultivated native, so a nativar. I don't know if y'all have heard that phrase before. So when you go out and buy passion flower, I really recommend you looking for 3-lobed leaved passion flowers. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the native passion flowers in our ecoregion. Gulf fritillaries love them all. They love the big showy purple, but they also really love these guys. We've got the yellow passion flower, Corona de Cristo, bracted, corkstem, birdwing, and I put them kind of in easiest to harder to source. This is Lutea. You can see the 3-lobed leaves right there, right? And I just want to say for reference, those flowers are like the size of a dime. They're teeny, teeny, tiny. They're so adorable. So compared to like a purple passion flower, that's like 5 to 6 inches, 4 or 5 inches across. These are like an inch across. So when you find them, it's again like magic. This is the Corona de Cristo passion flower. One of its nicknames is called Stinkin' Passion Flower. When you crush the leaves, it has a little bit of a skunky scent to it. I love it. It's super adorable. We were talking about the food forest before. This is all over the food forest right now. It's so magical. But I would say maybe don't plant it right next to your front door with the smell factor, and then this is the bracted passion flower affinis. And I just want to point out, you still have those 3-lobed leaves, but they're much more cut than the Lutea. So the flowers, again, are really small. They're kind of hard to see. And I would say I find the leaves way more often than I actually see the flowers. All right, so we talked about monarchs, we talked about queens. I'm going to talk about a group of butterflies called the swallowtails. They're kind of our other big butterflies. If we could talk about all day butterflies, we could go on and on, but I'm going to kind of hit the high points here with these guys. I just want to say, this is the Eastern tiger swallowtail. Look at that beautiful blue iridescence on the underside. When he's splayed out, you barely see it. But when he's up kind of like that, you get to see that beautiful iridescence. And you can tell why they call them swallowtails. You see that lovely tail at the base. So this is a pipevine swallowtail caterpillar. Aren't they so cool looking? Little spiky guys. They get their names from their host plants, pipevines. A few examples that we have locally are the woolly Dutchman's pipevine, the Corey's pipevine, and the white-veined Dutchman's pipevine. I've got all 3 in my garden. This is the white-veined Dutchman's pipevine. This is the most widely available in the nursery trade. It's the prettiest. It's a very dainty vine. It doesn't really, some vines are very overly spreading all over the place. So this one is contained also because the caterpillars are eating the vines for their food source. We don't really have to worry about them getting too out of control because they're kind of providing our landscape services for us. As gardeners, it's kind of weird to think about we want our plants to get eaten by bugs, but that's kind of the whole point of host plants is we're not growing them for us, we're growing them for them. Okay, so this is the Corey's pipevine. Isn't that a crazy flower? It almost looks like a mushroom, right? This was my most successful host plant. I walked out one day and this plant was just decimated. It just vanished in one day. And I looked down, there are 12 fat, lazy caterpillars that have just consumed my whole plant. And it looked like us after Thanksgiving. Like everybody was just like, oh my God, like I'm ready to transform here. So monarchs have their toxic property from the milkweed, pipe vines give the swallowtails the toxic properties as well. And then this is just a picture of a leaf. This is a new to me plant, so it's still a baby, but this is the woolly Dutchman's pipe vine. It's the largest vine. It prefers its roots in the shade and its leaves up in the sun. I will say that I bought this one at the Wildflower Center plant sale. It was only labeled with the Latin name because there was like 6 of them. And I think the people knew that that was a hot item. So they didn't bother to put the like regular common names out. So if you knew your Latin, you could guess like, oh, I know what that is. That's a pipe vine. So I scored a really awesome plant that other people probably just passed because they didn't know the Latin name. So just a little like, Latin names are good to know. Common names can be confusing. All right. So Eastern tiger swallowtail is going to be our most prevalent swallowtail in our area. I will say that these guys do not have the toxic properties that pipe vines do. They don't have the same food source, but this is the Eastern tiger swallowtail. You can see before, he was the one that we saw the blue iridescence when his wings were up. The females of this species, some have that yellow and black marking, just like the male. Some of the females are blue and black, and they resemble the pipevine swallowtail. They are blue and black. So they just have the really good costume of looking like a butterfly that's poisonous. It's pretty cool. All right. 2 other understory trees that I really like to plant for swallowtail host plants. Wafer ash. I love this little understory tree. It has visually interesting seed pods. They kind of look like little moons. And the tree is really delicate. It kind of flops in the wind a little bit, and these moons just kind of shimmy and shake. It's so lovely. Another one is spice bush. It's another medicinal plant. It also is a host plant to the spice bush swallowtail. And the giant swallowtail is a 4 to 6 inch wingspan. They really are awesome. I'm sad to say I don't have a picture of these guys. All of the pictures in this presentation are mine. I didn't use any stock images. So these are all butterflies that have come to my property. You will see a giant swallowtail in a different form in a minute. But for this one, I wanted to highlight this plant, which is its host plant, Hercules Club Prickly Ash. Now, do y'all like spikes? It's not for the faint of heart. It's definitely a tough one. It's in the citrus family, but it's not one that we eat. Actually, it gets its name, prickly ash. Another common name for it is toothache tree. If you bite on one of the leaves, it'll numb your mouth. Kind of cool. Yeah. So, not for our medicinal, or excuse me, not for our edible likes, but for the butterflies. I will say that if you don't want spikes, another way to bring the swallowtails, the giant swallowtails to your house is to do potted citrus trees. You could really do citrus in the ground, but I don't know about y'all. I don't really love trying to cover plants in the winter. It's just not, citrus trees are too temperamental for our new 20-degree lows that we're getting in the winters. So what I like to suggest is doing potted dwarf citrus trees. One of the things I volunteer with is the Texas Master Gardeners, Travis County Master Gardeners, and our president, Joanna, taught me a really cool trick. So when you buy a citrus tree or any tree that you want to put in a pot that's cold sensitive, up pot it into the bigger size black nursery container still, and then slip that nursery container in a ceramic pot. So every time you need to bring that plant in the winter, you just pop that plastic insert out and you can leave the big heavy ceramic pot. My back always thanks Joanna when I think of her every winter. All right, y'all. So this is a giant swallowtail caterpillar. Weird, right? So their costume is they look like bird poop. That's how they keep the birds from looking at them. And I read that it looked like bird poop, and I didn't really realize how true it was until I actually saw it. Because I honestly had to do a double take, like, oh my God. And I took the phone out and it was like, yep, that's it. It's a giant swallowtail caterpillar. So yeah, who needs poison when you've got a good costume? Okay, so we've talked about some butterflies, moths, caterpillars, host plants. Now we're going to talk about how to support these butterflies after they come out of their chrysalis and they've transformed into butterflies. They need the sweet stuff. The nectar is what propels them on their journey. Nectar plants are plants that provide food for butterflies. If we think about how a butterfly eats, then we can understand why they prefer certain plants. Butterflies have a mouth part called a proboscis, or a straw-like part to suck up nectar, water, and minerals from bare ground. The proboscis makes it easy for a butterfly to get into the flower to slurp up the nectar. Clusters of flowers means lots of nectar. Since butterflies really get into those small, deep flowers, they really like them clumped together. Think lantana, yarrow. From my experience, butterflies are flying all day long. If you give them a nice landing spot where they can hang out and get into all those little flowers, they'll hang out in your garden for a while. Some of my favorite nectar plants are the mist flowers. They're a pretty broad category, but I'm going to talk about some of the ones that we have in our ecosystem. Gregg's mist flower is the one that's best known in the nursery trade. This stuff attracts butterflies like no other plant. If you're really looking for one specific nectar plant, this is the great starter one. I feel like once you see how many butterflies can flock to it, it encourages you to plant more. White mist flower is another native variety. Gregg's mist flower, the one downside to it, it's kind of a spreader. So if you don't have a lot, I'm lucky, I've got space, so I kind of like spreaders. If you're kind of tight on space, one of the things that I like to recommend is to build some kind of a border around it. That can be with the limestone boulders you're picking up out of your soil when you go to plant big plants. You also could do other woody plants around it to kind of help contain it. This mist flower is a little different. It has a different form. Gregg's kind of spreads on the ground. This one kind of starts as a woody and then comes up and cascades out. I have this one growing native on my land. I never planted it, but it is happy as can be. I do find them get a little leggy in the shade. They're a little bit shorter and more compact in the sun. A lot of plants do that though. Okay, let's see if my video will work. So this is a monarch on a giant blue mist flower. You can see a little bumblebee friend on there too. The giant blue mist flower has similar flowers to Gregg's mist flower, but it's tall. It's about, might get about maybe almost 3 feet. It does have an interesting scent to it. If you crush one of the leaves, it almost smells a little bit like green bell peppers. And I find that that helps keep the deer out of it. They're not really interested in that flavor. Another variety is called Cressida or blue mist flower. You can see common names, blue mist flower, giant mist flower. They kind of all get a little combined here. So that's why I like to give you the Latin names for reference. Cressida is similar dark green color leaves than the giant blue mist flower, but it's also kind of ground hugging like the Gregg's mist, and it does spread as well. I will say I'm seeing giant blue mist flower more in the nursery trade. Cressida is getting there. Every now and then I'll find it at Barton Creek Nursery. Another great place that I always want to send people to other places where they can find cool native plants. Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center has their plant sales twice a year. Awesome native plant selection. Native Plant Society of Texas also has some really great plant sales. A lot of native plants, a lot of the ones we're talking about today. I also said, why do we call them mist flowers? I know the flowers kind of have a misty look to them, but honestly, when you see dozens of butterflies flittering around one plant, I kind of think like, ooh, is that why they call them mist flowers? Like all the butterflies. Okay, another one is viburnum leaf mist flower. This is totally different than the other ones. This one is really more like a landscape shrub. I have this one in my front area in front of my house. You'll notice this picture was taken on December 24th. So if you want butterflies for Christmas, this is a good one. This is blooming when nothing else is blooming out there. It does die back to the ground in our freezes, but it came back really fast for me. And they get big. Right now, mine are yay big, yay high. And that's after 2 seasons. So they get pretty large. All right, some of my favorite nectar plants, native nectar plants. Anybody know frostweed? Oh, okay, y'all. I love frostweed. If I can encourage you to plant one plant off this list, I would totally suggest frostweed. I know a lot of people have live oaks or other dense crowned trees in their yard and looking for something that blooms in like deep shade. Frostweed is the ticket. I love it. It works really well with Turk's cap. They're kind of similar needs. The reason I really like frostweed is that after all of our summer plants have gotten crispy, frostweed, as soon as those fall rains hit, it comes into bloom. So when the monarchs are coming back through for their fall migration, frostweed is just like the right timed plant. It's exactly what they need when they need it. I also really like it because the leaves are kind of large. A lot of our native plants can get a little like scrubby looking in the summer. This stays lush looking, because it can take that dense shade. I really love it. And this is what frostweed does in the fall, in this winter, excuse me. When we get our first frost, the stems explode and create these beautiful sculptures. They're so cool. I love it. All the plant people come out after the first freeze and are taking pictures of their frostweed. So not only do you get the flowers, but you also get this really cool show. Goldenrod is another great variety of plants to grow. I listed a few on here. Tall goldenrod is the most rambunctious. If you ever see me out in the wild at a plant swap, I guarantee you I will have a tray of tall goldenrod. That's what I bring to everyone. It's such a great butterfly plant, but it's also very abundant. So it spreads by rhizomes. So you kind of want to keep it checked a little bit if you're worried about spread. But I think there's something so cheery about a mass of yellow flowers. Oh, just so beautiful. It's also a medicinal plant. If you're worrying about it spreading, I would suggest going with the gray goldenrod or the prairie goldenrod. They're a little bit more well-behaved. I purposely put these two together because I think they are just the perfect duo. Fall aster and goldenrod, purple and yellow. And these guys are just so cute, right? Little daisies. I really like to plant goldenrod because it's tall and then fall asters around it to really kind of help contain the goldenrod, but also give you that change of height. And y'all, if you have those two, you will have lots of fall butterflies. Native Texas lantana is another great one. We have a bunch of different kinds of lantana, and I am definitely not a purist. I grow herbs from different native regions, but I do suggest planting the native lantana if you can. It's just what the butterflies have evolved with. There are some lantanas, especially I believe it's Lantana camera. It's the pink and yellow one. That one gets pretty invasive. So I will say, try to steer away from the yellow or yellow pink variety. But I mean, Dallas red, I know there's a yellow one. There's a few different kinds. They're fine. But if you really are growing for the butterflies, I always suggest going as native as possible because that's what they're used to. I will say, poor Lantana, her native name now, or Latin name now is Lantana urticoides. Up until, this is just a recent change. It used to be Lantana horrida. Don't you feel bad? Poor little Lantana horrida. That's not a very nice name. I'm glad they changed it to urticoides. All right, yarrow, another gorgeous medicinal native plant. I really like to use this as like a ground cover. The frond leaves of yarrow are just so sweet and they really do form like a little colony. I like to grow in guilds. I'm a permaculture person, so I like to use this as a ground cover. But when they bloom, they get pretty tall, a couple of feet in the air. Really just lovely. All the little butterflies really love yarrow too. I find them really attracted to yarrow. Prairie verbena is another one. I have never planted this one and had it not move. It's one of those plants, like it's not really an aggressive spreader, but it just likes to tell you exactly where she wants to be. Like she'll reseed out in the middle of your lawn. Like that's kind of just what she wants. Not aggressive though. I would never call her aggressive. Really lovely plant. All the Monarda species, we talked about Monarda with the herbs today, horse mint, lemon mint. There's a lot of different common names for them. That's why I put the Latins down. There are also other varieties, Monarda didyma that I didn't list here today. They all have really beneficial nectar sources. Texas frog fruit is another one. This is kind of synonymous with taking back our lawn. Y'all know frog fruit. A little different in the sun, in the sun and the shade. The sun she'll stay kind of short and kind of a little more well-behaved. In the shade, she gets all crazy and wrangly. But magnet for little butterflies, just all over it. Really sweet plant. Standing cypress. All right, I got another video for y'all. So this is what I like to refer to as a Disney princess moment. I got to hang out with this butterfly for a good 5 minutes. And I was like, right, arm's distance away, not a care in the world. He was all over, I think it's a he, was all over this standing cypress. I love this plant. It's a beautiful native. It grows in native soil, but also does just as well in garden soil. Some natives don't play nice in garden soil. They really want just like the native bare bones dirt, but standing cypress can take some nice composted soil. But you can really see how he gets in there and every little flower goes up and down. And it kind of just displays the point, like, if you have a variety of all different small flowers, they really will just hang out with you. So cute. All right, red spiral mallow, Texas mallow, Turk's cab is another name for it. A lot of people associate this one with hummingbirds, which it totally is. But butterflies also really like it as well. Also, we can eat this one too. I know we're talking about butterfly food, but the flowers on this one are actually quite delicious. If you want to munch the flowers, they're yummy nectar sources for us too. This one is another fabulous shade plant and also does really well in our Texas summers. Any plants that grow in parking lots are usually pretty tough, right? Turk's cab is one you see in a lot of parking lots. That's a no-brainer. If it's living there, it's going to be happy in your garden. Flux is another variety. This one is not native. This is actually Garden Flux variety David. I saw it at Natural Garden and I just couldn't help myself. It's just so beautiful. The native fluxes are more on the red and pink spectrum. They're the Flux Drummondii and subulata. All right, so understory trees. These guys, if you think about clusters of small flowers and then think about what are early spring, late winter blooming trees, they are just a huge cluster of flowers. Those red buds, Mexican plum, they bring all those little butterflies in at one time. I really, really highly suggest them. And another great thing is like the ones that I listed, you want flowers throughout the year, right? So we can think about the progression of when these things bloom. So, we have our early Mexican plum and red buds, and then we go into a little farther in the year, we get the escarpment black cherries. And then if we go down into even farther into the summer, we've got flame leaf sumac. So you really have that crescendo of flowers coming and going all the time. Favorite native shrub, evergreen sumac. Are y'all familiar with this one? I know it's starting to gain more popularity. I feel like after all these winter storms, people have been looking for evergreen plants for privacy that won't get affected by these new big lows in our winters. This is a champ. Evergreen sumac was just like, no big deal, drought, freeze, whatever, I'm fine. And it's a really great nectar source. When it is in flower, everything is just buzzing all over it. But I would highly encourage evergreen sumac if y'all are looking for an evergreen privacy shrub. Okay, so all of those were native, and now I'm going to talk about a few of the adapted non-native plants to attract butterflies. We do try to go native as much as possible, right? But there are still plants that play nice with others that we want to appreciate in our gardens. Let's see. Mexican sunflowers, y'all familiar with this one? Oh, covered in butterflies. Another one that loves the heat. She'll do really well in the summer. And that flower color, oh, so beautiful. Mexican flame leaf vine, another fabulous one. So I took this picture right before the first frost. So this really comes all the way through the spring, summer, fall, like a champ. It does need something to climb on. You can see I have a trellis here. covered in butterflies nonstop. It almost looks like it's breathing. They're just all over it. Almond verbena is another great shrub. I love the scent of this one. It kind of smells like almond extract. I'm someone, I design for not only visual, but kind of like how plants make you feel. I have this one on my way to take the garbage out at night. I pick up that garbage and it's woof, and then I walk to the almond verbena and it's like, oh my God, thank you. Like, I don't know. It's just a lovely experience. This one gets big too. She's a pretty big landscape plant. In some of our really deep freezes, she'll die all the way back to the ground and come right back. No big deal. Zinnias, another just cheery annual. The community garden that I help run, we had some extra garden plots that had been rented. So we planted them all with zinnias. And I have kids come and make zinnia bouquets all the time because they're cut and come again flowers. So they really want you to be harvested. So they keep coming back. I love zinnias. And they're really easy to start from seed too. If you ever want to get your confidence up with seed starting, throw some zinnias out. Globe amaranth or gomphrena is another name for it. This actually is the native variety. This is the Neely's red, I believe. Most of the globe amaranth you see are not native, but you get really cool colors. You could really plant like a rainbow of flowers with globe amaranth. The flowers are kind of bristly, so they're a really good landing spot for butterflies, and they last all through the summer too. A tough one. All right. And these are some resources that I wanted to show you. I wanted to point out, so a lot of this is my experience, but I wanted to just share some of my all-time favorites. I'm going to start with this one. Checkout line at HEB. You probably have all seen this. I highly recommend you keeping this just in your garden basket when you're gardening. So that way, whenever you see somebody, you can just look at this. I love it. All the basics. This one is fantastic. Butterfly Gardening for Texas. I'm going to just say her first name is Gaeta. I can't pronounce her last name. She used to work at the Natural Gardener for years and years and years. She's no longer with us. She's passed on. But her book is just an opus of butterfly. I'm only touching on what I have experience with in this class. She has so much more experience, and you'll be amazed that vegetables are host plants, landscaping shrubs are host plants, all these different things that we haven't touched on all of them because we don't have all the time, but fabulous resource. And then another one too, native host plants for Texas butterflies. They also have one for native moths as well. Awesome, awesome books. All right. And yeah, so that's what I've got. And I just wanted to say, if you ever want to garden with me, you can find me at the Paul Tana Community Garden. It's a really great group of people. We have veterans, we have kids, we have neighbors, all different skill sets. All these different groups are coming together: Texas Master Gardeners, Native Plant Society, Texas Plant Rescuers, Central Texas Seed Savers are all starting to kind of come together in this one area. We're going to be offering free classes. There are plot rentals if you're interested in having a community garden plot. I highly recommend it. Check out their website. I also, if you all are interested, I have a sign-up sheet too if you want to get on their newsletter. And then my Instagram is Love of the Plants, and my email is baileylovesplants@gmail.com. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. Any questions?
Sorry, from online, could you hold the laminated card you got it? You said it's at the checkout line.
Oh, of course.
Can you see your picture? Because it looks like it's the square thing. Should be going. Oh, no, it's not showing the.
Stop share.
Oh, stop sharing. That's a good idea.
There you are.
Hi, everybody.
All right. So here is the,
I teach online, so.
But now it's saying
Please finish our food so we
Oh.
can take it home.
I think it stopped. Okay.
Ice cream and
This is the pamphlet, if anybody's interested, the HEB pamphlet. Oh.
Butterfly, oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Of
That was
course.
great.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Y'all come grab some snacks and ice cream. We don't want to take this home, so please help yourselves.
Any other questions? Yes.
So you talked about, the plants being toxic, on the toxicity of it. If I were to take like a spoonful and eat it, would that make me, when I feel that, and we is that toxic?
Uh, so I would not suggest it. I do know the poison specifically, it's something to do with a heart poison. I think it's glycosides is what it's called. Don't quote me on that. I wouldn't suggest it. I don't know. I don't know exactly how, but I do know that that is what deters them from being eaten. So, in them, it's powerful. But yeah, I don't know.
So you don't know that it's like a butterfly that eats it. If you ate a butterfly, would it make you sick?
I wouldn't eat a butterfly either. But you might, I don't know. I don't know.
Because I wonder about that. Sometimes I hear plants are toxic and don't go, so your dog might eat them. I'm just wondering, how toxic they are.
So as an herbalist, I've always learned that the medicine is in the dosage. Sometimes there are plants that you don't want to eat a whole lot of, but maybe just in a very small quantity, they're okay. I'm not giving medical advice. I should put that out there. I also go by the motto that I've learned this recently. Don't munch a hunch. So if you don't know for sure, don't put it in your mouth. So yeah, I would suggest not to.
Okay.
But you know what? I will say that the butterfly weed, the orange milkweed, that is a medicinal plant that has been used for a long time. The root is used there. They call it pleurisy root is another name for it. So yeah. Yes.
On the milkweed, I just don't really hear people talk about it, but my experience, just that I don't treat my mind before, and it can blind you temporarily, and I had to go like emergency. The pain was so severe.
Oh my goodness. Ooh.
I would be very careful with those.
Do you mind if I ask what milkweed it was?
Time, so I'm not sure. Butterfly weed or out in the country, we have them. I can't do it.
Zyzotes. So I'm kind of in Southwest Austin and we have zyzotes and antelope horns is kind of the most prevalent out by me. But yeah,
That's that, that white. I'll just be very careful with that.
yes.
There's a question, but first, could you paraphrase or repeat the question?
Oh, so someone asked about the toxicity of the sap of milkweed plants. She had mentioned that she had an experience where she got it in her eyes and was blinded temporarily and had to go to a doctor. So yeah, be really careful with the sap. It is toxic.
I don't know if you can see the chat, but there's a question, what is the thought around butterfly bush or Leia?
Oh, hi, Jessica. Yeah, it definitely attracts butterflies. If you ask someone that's really into natives, they will tell you not to plant it. It's not a native plant. I personally don't grow that one. I just feel like we have so many other great native host plants that are, native nectar plants that kind of get the job done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
My doctor butts up against green belt. I would assume all of these are generally just native, so there's no, like, some things could go into green belt.
I will say, I used to live back to a green belt a long time ago, and I planted a passion flower that did get overabundant, and I regretted planting it there. That is the only That's the only one that I can think of out of the ones that we talked about that I would be nervous about. But if you wanted to go with one of the more native varieties, you could totally avoid, they don't get as big. Any other questions?
Where do you get those, vines with the veins, pipeline?
So I've seen them at Barton Springs Nursery. I've seen them, I'm trying to think if they were at Natural Gardener. I've definitely found them at the Wildflower Plant Sale. I would assume that they would have them at Native Plant Society sales as well. But I definitely, you can see a really beautiful example of them at Barton Springs Nursery. They have a really abundant one. You know, actually, one of the things I wanted to mention about that one is I planted that one kind of in shade, thinking that that's what it wanted, and it reseeded itself in a sunnier location. So that's another one of those, like, sometimes you have to listen to the plants and they'll show you where they want to be. Yeah.
I don't know if this is in your purview or not, but we're talking about all these, passion vines and everything. Do you know, I see them all the time, but I never see the passion fruit. Do you know anything about them making fruit?
I actually was in the food forest yesterday, Festival Beach Food Forest, and saw and actually ate some of the stinking passion flower, the little pink one. Her fruit was abundant that day, and she makes these beautiful red berries. Lutea has itty bitty tiny berries. I know there's another variety of passion flower. I believe it's called Passiflora edulis. Don't quote me on that, but that one specifically is for making passion fruit. I think it's the largest fruit out of all the different vines. But they all do make fruit.
Really?
But the thing is when you're growing host plants, sometimes you don't get to that stage because if they eat it down before it has the chance to pollinate the flowers, you understand what I mean? Yeah. So, yeah.
I know the Postida,
Mm-hmm.
it makes beautiful red ones.
They're
And
gorgeous.
they're pretty delicious.
Yeah.
It seems like the cycle is where they eat it down and then the plants recover and then they make the fruit. So the fruit's comes later.
Yeah. Yes.
Any advice for keeping the caterpillars separate from vegetable gardens or like mitigating the butterfly garden from the vegetable garden?
That is a tough
situation?
call. Actually, I'm kind of glad you asked about that because I wanted to say a little bit about BT, because like I know y'all have cabbage loopers, right? They destroy our brassicas and it's like, oh no, please don't eat my kale. Like, go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. The question was about if you can keep some butterflies in your butterfly garden and keep them out of your vegetable garden. Is that kind of the, yeah. That's a tricky one. I'm just gonna say like BT is it's a pest, not a pesticide. It's natural, so I don't want to call it a pesticide, but it does kill caterpillars. So people use it on brassicas like cabbage loopers for kale and collard greens. When you kill one kind of caterpillar, you can kill all the caterpillars with it though. So I try to like, I'm not a big fan of squishing things, but I try to take the cabbage leafers out and squish them so I don't use the BT. It's a process. You can always move them. Another thing that I like to do are plant trap plants. So like plants like sunflowers, that's a good trap plant to kind of keep some, like put that around your garden bed to kind of get some caterpillars more interested in that. I just taught this class at Natural Gardener a couple of days ago and somebody had like a very similar question and it's kind of like, in my mind in permaculture, I grow enough that I get mine and they get theirs. So I kind of I try not to freak out about the fact that they're gonna get it. Yeah, I wish I had a magic solution for you, but yeah. Any other questions? All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I think I loved it. Thank you.
Yeah.